Hello and welcome to Context. I'm Nadia Jani. On today's episode, we will be talking about the Middle Corridor, its interconnection with Asia and Europe, and the growing importance to the South Caucasus. Azerbaijan and Georgia have played key roles in the crucial trade route, and both are actively working to enhance the corridor's infrastructure and efficiency. Georgian Ministry of Economy and Sustainability stated that freight traffic passing through the Middle Corridor through Georgia surged nearly 3 times in the first half of this year. The TransCaspian international transport route, more commonly known as the Middle Corridor, was launched in February 2014 and involves major maritime and rail transport companies from Azerbaijan, Kazakhstan and Georgia. The route stretches from the China-Kazakhstan border, crossing Kazakhstan and the Caspian Sea through Azerbaijan and Georgia before reaching Europe. Now, there could be an opportunity for Armenia to also be part of economic growth and trade efficiency through the Zangezur Corridor. The Zangezur Corridor is an Azerbaijani proposal to establish a transit link between mainland Azerbaijan and its exclave of Nakhchivan. But whether or not Armenia will manage this or include a third-party operator to do this is still up for debate and ultimately sits with them. To discuss this in more detail, I'm joined by Orkan Nabiev, political analyst in Baku. Thank you, Orkan, for joining me today.
Thank you for the invitation.
No problem. So my first question is, firstly, can you explain to our audience what is the Trans-Caucasus Corridor, or is it the Zangezur Corridor?
So Trans-Caucasus Corridor is a very effective way of transporting the goods, and it's a route for the international trade system from China to Europe and vice versa. In this case, Transcaucasian means that there's a big seaport in Azerbaijan that can accept more than 20 tons of containers like from China, and can pass it through the Caucasus to Turkey and to the Black Sea. In this case, Caucasus gained a big role of being an intercommunicator between the regions as well as between the continents. It became the intercontinental node for the Eurasia. And Zangezur Corridor is a part of this road in this intercommunication, considering that Azerbaijan has already route through Georgia to Turkey and to the Black Sea. Zangezur Corridor creates alternative road, and we know that if there is more alternatives in the one road, this region gains more and more importance because there's a diversification of the routes, and various insurance companies as well as the logistic companies can choose the one of them. So more roads, more ways to transport the goods from east to west and vice versa makes the region more important to international intercontinental trade system.
Right, that's really interesting. And what benefits would you say is there for the Zangezur Corridor for Armenia and Azerbaijan?
For Azerbaijan, Azerbaijan shows the alternative route to Europe. It's one of the first main road we have through Georgia, Baku to Tbilisi cars, and Zangezur Corridor is alternative that could be attractive for logistic companies as well as insurance companies, as I said. And for Armenia, it's a way of making their economy more sustainable and come close and to close in one node many interests from west to east, from north to south. And Armenia also can use this corridor for their own economic development because they can get transit taxes from this road. Also, they can construct infrastructure around this road to serve this road and these traders and the companies that will use this road in the future. So yes, for Armenia, it's also the big economic boost, and first of all, for their security, stability, and economic development.
Great. So President Aliyev has said that he will not accept any reciprocal arrangement on the Zangezur Corridor, insisting that Azerbaijan must be granted unilateral access. What do you make of that particular statement?
There is a big paradoxal issue that many of some scholars or some enlightened people cannot understand, that they think that Azerbaijan asks access to Turkey through this Zangezur corridor without paying any transit or any benefits to Armenia. But it's not like this. Azerbaijan demands the road to access to another part, exclave of Azerbaijan, to Nakhchivan, that it should not be any barriers for passing Azerbaijani citizens from one part of Azerbaijan to another part of Azerbaijan, despite this part is an exclave. We can see many examples for this. For example, Russian access to Kaliningrad through Lithuania. We know that there is a big tension between West and Russia, but Lithuania and the Baltic countries, they have more problems with Russia, but they allow Russians to reach their exclave. There's other many examples like Alaska, like in other countries examples. So yes, for Azerbaijan, it's important to access its own lands without any barriers and permissions and checking process. But for international trade, there is a big opportunity, and we don't demand anything for international trade. In the international trade, there is a rules that also Armenia will get their own benefits, and it will not be any problem between Azerbaijan and Armenia. But for Azerbaijan, it's important to have access without any barriers to its own territory. That's a small difference that people cannot understand.
Yes, no, thank you for clarifying that. That's actually very important. So thank you for stating that. Now, do you know what the terms of the agreement that Azerbaijan has proposed to Armenia in order for the Zangezur corridor to go ahead?
Yes, these conditions are, we know these conditions from 2020, from the November 9. It was get access to Nakhchivan without any barriers. And if Armenia will give this access, there will be more involving to this process, opening to all the communications. The first step, Armenia should give access without any barriers for Azerbaijanis to Azerbaijan. In the secondary type, we can start to discuss for international trade, and there's an issue that third part would like to join to this process of control pass process, and eventually it can be relevant for the all communications in the South Caucasus between Armenia and Azerbaijan, because we know that there's other alternative roads in the north of Armenia, which connects Kazakh region of Azerbaijan and Ijevan region of Armenia. But this is for the future perspectives. The first first milestone is granting access to Azerbaijan for Azerbaijanis to Azerbaijan, and eventually it will be opening the all communications, and we will see that Caucasus became the transit node and the hub for the international trade system.
And do you think that's something that Armenia will be happy to agree to with those terms, do you think?
I do think yes, it's eventually gonna happen, because Armenia could not stay in isolation for a long time, and Armenia is not interested to stay in isolation for a long time. As we see that even the Armenian Prime Minister Pashinyan tries to sell their own nation this concept as an Armenian crossroad. There's a small differences in what is Azerbaijan really wants and what's really South Caucasus like Armenian crossroad. Armenia wants it as a package. We offer this as a step-by-step procedure. And beside these differences and political differences, the Prime Minister Pashinyan also tries to make the society ready to accept this situation, the new realities. And eventually, if we will look retrograde to the back, and we will see that there's a very big change that we cannot feel at the moment, that now we are going toward from the conflict to the peace agreement. And for last 3 years, for the last 2 years mostly, we didn't hear any skirmishes or the clashes in the borderline between Armenia and Azerbaijan. So it means that tensions are going down. Now it's time to think more and more how to make this region flexible for international trade, for peace, for stability, and economic and social development. And I do think that in 1 year, we will see the total different negotiations between Azerbaijan and Armenia. They will be more oriented to the faster resolution of the conflict details that we have on the table right now. So it will be all set up eventually in 1-2 years, and we will see the new South Caucasus.
Yes, and the new South Caucasus, which will now include Armenia. And how beneficial do you think that would be on the international trade aspect of having this Zangezur corridor, the middle corridor, all connected, all interconnected? What would be the economic benefits towards all of that?
First of all, it's a demand of two big regions, Asia and Europe, because after the aggressive occupation war of Russia towards Ukraine, we saw that the northern trade route is totally blocked. And we see that there is a very big problems and unresolved issues in the south route, which passed from Iran, Islamic Republic Iran, and we see that there's no more countries like European countries wants to use this route. So there's only one road apart from the road, sea road. It's a mainland road through Caspian Sea, South Caucasus to Europe. So first of all, it's not the benefit of Azerbaijan, it's a benefit of international trade. So international trade has no other route to use except the marine. And using the sea road, it's very long and it's not effective. And now we see that there's many problems in Arabic Sea, in Red Sea, in Suez Channel, and the Middle Eastern part, and the coastline of the Eastern African countries. They're not stable, they're not safe for the trade. And there's only remaining mainland road is through the South Caucasus using the middle corridors. Yes, middle corridor now is an existential need for the international trade. It's not only like benefit, it's an existential need. And a part of this, it is like very short timeline to pass the goods. It's like from 15 to 20 till the 20 days. It's a really very, very short road for a short time period for international trade, passing the goods from the one part of the continent to the another part of the continent. And considering this, yes, it's a beneficial in the time, it's beneficial in safety, security, and it's beneficial that there's a many alternative routes in one middle corridor that logistic companies and insurance companies can rely on.
Yes, and also to add to that, now there's a new actor in this particular picture. Iran has stepped into the picture of late. Do you think their military drills will deter plans of the corridor?
Iran, in case they were always in this Zangezur corridor, but not in the positive side. They were from the negative side, because we can cite the Iranian supreme leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei when he met Pashinyan last year. He said that Zangezur corridor is against the national interest of Armenia. How the Iranian supreme leader can not only the thing, they can speak instead of Armenia. So it means that it's not against the national interest of Armenia, it's against the national interest of Iran. And considering this, Iran, they're not supportive in opening the Zangezur corridors. Yes, they offered their alternative role, and the Azerbaijani spokesperson of the president, his assistance for international relations, foreign affairs, Hikmet Hajizadeh also noted that there is an alternative route to Nakhchivan through Iran, if Armenia will not accept this. And Iran wants to insist to using this road also for international trade. But how many insurance companies, logistic companies, how many European companies will agree on using the road through Iran? So yes, Iran is an outsider in this. If the Zangezur corridor opens, Iran will become the outsider of the international trade, and Iran doesn't want it, and they show their own national interests as an interest of Armenia. But they have the big power that they used to have last year, and their position became weak, and it also creates a new chance to Armenia to rethink and decide the most efficient and effective way of the international trading.
That's really interesting. So that means it's likely that Iran will be pushed to one side and the plans will go ahead for Armenia, would you say?
Yeah, exactly. It's not only about Iran, there's also the Russian interest, and we see that these two countries, they lose their power, their strength in the South Caucasus, their influence in the South Caucasus, because of their losses, their conflicts that they invested a lot of money and political power. Now they are stuck in these uncertainties, in these conflicts, and they cannot have great influence to South Caucasus. And eventually, Iran and Russia start to leave South Caucasus politically and economically, and it creates the new opportunities for the South Caucasus countries. Yet, we, as Azerbaijan, we are not against, like, we are not enemies of Iran, but Iran should consider this, that the Zangezur corridor creates not only opportunity for Armenia, for South Caucasus, eventually it could create opportunities for Iran as well, because it creates the road from Armenia to Iran. And it gives alternative route to Iran to go to the Black Sea through Armenia and Georgia. But very radical position of Iran can stop this process. And we can also analyze the Iran in the another dimension. Iran is not one power ruled country. There is at least two powers that influence on the Iranian internal and foreign politics. It's a Islamic Revolution Guards and the official president power of Iran. So official administration of Iran, they are not very radical as a mullah regime and the Islamists and the Islamic Revolution Guards. And we see that as much as the Islamic Revolution Guards and the mullah regime became weakened, official president and presidential administration and official government of Iran, they gain much power. And they are not against for this Zangezur corridor. Mostly the mullah regime and the conservative rulers that are against. And we can see that, we can notice that Iran become more polite and more, how to say, the long-term strategic thinking in this towards this Zangezur corridor.
No, that's really interesting. And my last and final question, if I can just remind you of the very beginning of what I introduced it with Georgian Economy Ministry saying that they've seen trade increase quite heavily during the first half of this year. What is your take on that in the sense of, will that likely to increase more and more in regards to the Middle Corridor? And could something like that also have an impact on Azerbaijan's economy as well?
Absolutely, yes. It's year by year this importance of Zangezur corridor and international trade through not only Zangezur corridor, like South Caucasus, the transition node, well, let's call it like hub, South Caucasian hub. And year by year, international trade through the South Caucasus hub will increase, and Georgia will get their own benefits. And we see that Georgia has already get their benefits, not only by the international trade, many energy pipelines like gas pipeline, oil pipeline goes through Georgia, as well as the alternative energy that Azerbaijan wants to export to Europe also will pass through Georgia, through under the Black Sea. Yes, and then eventually we can also see that many Central Asian countries can join to the middle corridors, and they are interesting passing their rare materials that what are very gaining much influence among the technological advanced countries. The Uzbekistan and Kazakhstan, they can export uranium to Europe. For example, France has very big need of uranium because we see that they cannot buy it from Russia anymore. There's many other big gas pipelines can be constructed under the South Caucasus and can be exported to the Europe. So Azerbaijan and Georgia already get their benefits, and it also will help and will boost Azerbaijan economy to become diversified from not only oil and gas exporter, but also the biggest transit country of the region. And it's also that will help eventually to other neighbor countries to gain their economics, because making the trade is better than making a war.
Yes, well, thank you so much for joining me, Orkhan Nabiev. That's been great to hear your thoughts. Well, that's all that we have for today on today's Context.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for watching, and stay tuned to A News.